Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul, and we are headed out on the road for the Friends for Life podcast world tour. So let's hop in the car and get going. Welcome back. It's funny running into you here at the Tech Fest.
Yeah, surprise.
So, what's going on out here at Tech Fest? And is this your first time out here? We got invited to come podcast, and Tony and I showed up. So,
make things happen.
I feel like this is my third time. I'm not sure if it was related or if I'm thinking that it's something different or not. But one time, I think there was maybe it was Tiffin University or one of the universities out here had an event going on, but I've been to this conference center I know before too because I stayed in the hotel right next door.
Yeah, we just got a little place there just for bodily functions.
So what's new in the remote support business? How are things going since the last time we talked?
You guys are really well known here.
Oh, good. Good. Well, I like to hear that. Some of my people are doing what they're supposed to do. Then.
Yeah, right.
It's just been busy. I mean, staffing hasn't gotten any easier, and really what we do kind of helps solve the staffing crisis a lot. I think we finally hit, I think we're over 525 individuals in remote supports now.
Nice.
And other states are even interested in bringing us in. Maryland had me out there last week for their Tech First initiative, and then we went to DC for a different conference. So it's not just here in Ohio. Like, there's not staff anywhere.
Yeah.
It is a nationwide thing.
So, what's the benefit of coming to these types of events? Because we've been to on the road a little bit, but we haven't been to any big scale events where there's so many different vendors and showing off their technology. Do you guys find any advantage to come to something like this?
Well, for us, no matter how many times we come, there's always people we haven't met.
Yeah.
So there's people who have heard about remote supports. There's people who haven't. Either way, we're going to meet you, say hi. People love our cups. We give out some free cups.
We have a few of those.
But honestly, even just something as simple as we don't bring a lot of tech and we don't want to overwhelm people. We just bring, some flyers, and we bring our two-way talk device. And even just something as simple as when we push that button on the table and they see one of our staff pop on, hey, how can I help? It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's actually working. I didn't, I thought it was just to look cool. No, it works right here. And we're not even in someone's home. We're just in some random conference.
In this area.
Yeah.
Right. Have you noticed that this helps bring collaboration together, new ideas, new ways, even for you guys to do better or even teach others to do better? Do you notice that in these kind of settings?
There's tons of collaboration. So we even work with all the other remote support vendors. So there's an organization called CARES, and it's a collaboration of multiple remote support vendors. Hopefully I don't forget anybody on the list, but it's THS Remote Supports, Night Owl, Safe and Home, WinWreath, Rest Assured, and Syngistics. We're all founding members, all of those companies. And our whole goal is to collaborate and try and bring education and resources across the country for remote supports. There are tons of states. There might be 13 to 15 states that have programs right now that can use remote supports.
Okay.
So tons that don't. So our whole goal is educate these other states or to be a resource where they just pick our brain. How is it working here? How is it working there? What would you do differently? Those sorts of things. And that collaboration is really cool to see competitors, air quote, talk and work together and meet every month, every other week and kind of build on that. So that's neat. But also just as a remote support company, we use lots of different tech. We don't stick to one ecosystem of anything.
Right.
So, meeting some new company who's a startup and hey, this is a device we created is cool sometimes. And even just working with the AngelSense rep out here at Catalin, hey, we've got our new watch coming out next month. Can I send you a beta? to play around with. So that's cool to get some things like before it's public, see how it might work, and then once it's ready to go, like we're hitting the ground running.
That's always the best. And when you spoke of all the different companies, there's two others in there, Safe and Home and When We that I also work with alongside with you guys. So it's awesome to be able to have that connection that, just like you guys don't work with one provider, it's okay for other providers to work with different tech agencies and to collaborate so we can help the person in need.
Well, one of the things that really struck me the last time we were talking is the amount of people that are still kind of have this fear of remote supports. Do you find that with the way things are going and, we're still on this like big trend of spikes in the big C word you can't say anymore with all that stuff going on. Do you notice that people are getting more willing to try remote supports? Is your numbers growing, or is it kind of still people are like, I don't know if that's for me kind of deal?
I don't know if that this year, I don't know if that's really affected it much this year. It really did help spike things up, a year, 2 years ago. But people more so nowadays are looking into remote supports, what I find, just because it's like, hey, I've tried everything I can. I can't get anybody to come, between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Yeah. So we talked about how we can help this person stay safe, and we think they might be a candidate for remote supports. Would you like to meet with us? And yeah, we'll meet and we'll learn about those concerns and see what we can come up with. And our average intakes per week, I feel like we've jumped up to around like 12 to 15 new intakes every week.
Nice.
So we stayed busy, and thank God we ramped up ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to hey, we got a wait list kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, from day one, Tony's been a huge proponent of remote supports. I mean, he's been pushing even the county boards and stuff to get on board with this. And it seems like some of the county boards are more progressive with it, and some are more they're still leery. So what have you seen? And I'm interviewing Tony now, I guess.
Yeah.
But what do you have to say in favor of them? Because I still hear people that even come on our show talk about it. They're still leery, and it's you've had nothing but good things to say. So
yeah, I am more because again, I think and I see people progressing for themselves. So that's my main thing. I want to see people have an option without having to have a human there. And this technology has been the only technology that I've seen capable of still having the human aspect without the human being there. So you still have someone monitoring, you still have someone helping, but they just don't have to physically be there. And I think that we have limited ourselves mentally by thinking that just because you have a physical body there, that it's going to promote growth in this individual. And that's far from the case. Sometimes it's just technology that's going to beep at you that makes you think for yourself. And that's what we need to do. At least that's what I believe.
100%. We had a mom recently who was just floored the independence and the growth from her daughter. And really, when she asked her daughter, because she's grown so much, she was like, how? What's going on? You've learned your laundry, you learned how to cook. And they're like, well, it's because when the staff was here, they'd do it for me.
Yes.
It's they were just doing it. They're not here now, so I have to do it. So that really does help grow and foster, if they might have already been able to do something and maybe they lost that skill because a staff person was started doing it every day for them. So you don't want that regression either. You want to keep them, where they can be, to their most maximum potential. And really, this whole remote support and technology thing has done that for a lot of people.
It definitely has. Recently, I want to give kudos to one of our guys who he's having a reduction in his timing. Okay, because I got to put it out there. All right, something bad happened. Someone stole from him, but it was an educational purpose for him. He gave too much freedom to this person that took from him, in his own home. And yes, he didn't have a staff person there all the time, and he had primary remote supports, and the remote supports even helped, find out what happened. But it was, back in the day, it would have been the staff's fault, it would have been everyone else's fault. He had to take full accountability of it and do better for himself. So although it was a jacked up situation, the learning experience from it is so much more valuable than the scenario. And I'm trying to be very careful. I don't want to do any HIPAA violations, but I mean, we all go through tough times.
Yeah, and you ever think remote supports be a crime stopper?
Right.
We do. We've got situations where a door opens, so we call in and we ask, do you know the password? Because you've got a list of people who like friends or family, but if you're not on the list, what's the password? And we've had people like run away.
Wow.
You're like, that means they were probably up to no good.
Exactly.
And they realized, like, I'm not going to get away with whatever I'm trying here. I'm out.
Yeah.
And
I never thought about that.
Dude.
There's just so many uses for this stuff. It's just like every time we talk, it's just like blows me away.
it's always
Just the
something
old
new.
phrase, there's an app for that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
there's a
Really.
technology for that.
Yeah, it really is.
So
So, besides this event, you have any other stuff coming up that you guys are working on, or you have anything that you're kind of coming? You have more events you're coming to, or stuff that people should be aware about in the coming
this
weeks?
is the season for events like this. If you don't know about it, towards the end of summer and in the beginning of fall, you've got like the Tech Fest that's in Columbus. You've got this Tech Fest, this Tech Fair that the COG does up here. You've got OACB does a conference, Opera does a conference, and then PAR does a conference in this area at that Kalahari Resorts.
I think that's one we should go to.
Yeah, they were just telling me about it.
Yeah.
I think we need
Come
to
on,
make-
boss.
So and that's when, exactly. You go and have some fun after the day's over. But there's lots of stuff going on in the fall. I guess, summer winds down and people start going to all these events.
Well, want to thank you for doing, I think this is your third podcast with us, even though this one's a mini podcast. So, we'll let you get back in. There's supposed to be, from what I was talking to the event organizer, there's supposed to be like 300-400 people here today.
Yeah.
So
Just saw a bus of people pull up, so you're going to be busy, Jim.
Great. I'll lose my voice. That'll be awesome.
same.
Thanks, man.